Now we're recording.
Yeah.
So what's your blood type?
Dude, I don't even fucking remember, Joe. I think
Really?
AB positive.
Oh, you're super rare.
No, that's wrong. I think I'm just A positive. I don't know, dude. Hopefully I never need to know that.
Except for when you find out that you're HIV positive.
Oh, dude, imagine. Then no blood's gonna help.
Yeah, well, you don't really die from it anymore anyway.
You know what I want to know?
Mhm.
Especially because Eddie Van Halen died yesterday.
Yeah,
R.I.P. How the fuck is Keith Richards still alive?
he's not gonna die. He's
How,
just never gonna die.
like, who's like, what young person is like letting him siphon their blood out like every day so he
I think
can.
he might be doing that, honestly, because when you look at the band, Mick Jagger, who, he's never, I never understood why people would want to sleep with him, but he's never been a great looking guy, but he works out like 4 or 5 times a day. Like he like
Mick
does
Jagger or Keith
Mick Jagger. Keith Richards, this is where I was going to get at. Because Mick
Richards?
Jagger, they're roughly around the same age. And Mick Jagger, I think, does look better than Keith Richards. But he works out like 4 or 5 times a day. And then Keith Richards is just like not doing any of that. He has no preservation to his body. He just beats the shit out of himself and he just won't die.
Just still taking a heroin and fucking drinking incessantly.
Well, there was that one guy, he died, I don't know, a year or two ago. I think he was like an older black guy. He was a World War II vet, 100 and something years old, and he said he had a glass of whiskey and a cigar every day. It's like some people just have better genetics, I guess. They could just beat the fuck out of themselves. They won't die. I can't eat too much fucking beef jerky without
What
having
a
a heart attack.
life, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. I have a cheat day once a week. I work out once a day, pretty hard. I'm doing what's called intermittent fasting,
Yep, I've done
meaning,
that.
huh?
I've done that, yeah.
You only eat between 2 and 10 p.m.
That's what I did yesterday. I mean, I kind of haven't done it in a while, but I usually do like the 8 hour window.
Yeah, and I've been doing this for close to a month. I've lost a good amount of like fat with it, but it's fucking horrible because it's like you're starving all the time. And then when you do eat, your stomach's so small now, like you can barely eat anything.
Mm-hmm.
And all I eat is like meat and vegetables. So that gets boring really quick. It's like I hate eating salmon, and I eat salmon like 2-3 times a week.
I don't mind
So
salmon, but like I think it was Butcher
fucking bad.
Box my wife and I were getting, which it was kind of expensive being as like we have kids and stuff too. But for you, it might be really good because it's like you can get the package. There's different ones. It was only like maybe
I
a
used
hundred
to do it.
with the Butcher Box.
Yeah, I got tired of it because it's like every month they would send me like 1 or 2 cool things a month, but then it would always be like 3 or 4 things of ground beef and chicken strips
Oh,
or
you
just
could
chicken breasts. And like,
customize it.
dude,
Like we would
yeah,
go on in, we'd do like
I
a
did the
variety
3
pack and it would like we'd do like a mystery one, so they would change it up every week or every month, or we'd go on and 'cause we were getting scallops just because I really like scallops. But I mean, eventually got to the point, like I said, with the kids and stuff and like the price of it, I was like, maybe we take the scallops out and get some more chicken breasts or something that could make a bit more food than like 10 scallops because I'll eat 10 scallops. But I like meat. I have no issue eating meat like all the time. It's actually probably my biggest issue because at work there's beef jerky in the vending machine. It's like $1 for 2 sticks of Jack Links. And so I'll eat
Oh
like
God,
fucking 8 sticks of beef jerky a day, and then I'll buy a bag of the jalapeno beef jerky.
dude! And then each one of those has like 60% of your daily value in sodium.
That's why I'm
So
like,
your heart's just racing all the time.
yeah. And then I go home and I drink. I wake up sweaty in the middle of the night. Like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, dude. My roommate and I this week alone, I have had like we crushed 2 12 packs a night and a bottle of vodka, and just like wake up the next day. He goes to work, I go to school. We see each other at the gym. Get back, we each have a 12 pack. Start all over again. It's fucking absurd.
Yeah, it was getting bad with the quarantine. I mean, I go in waves. Like, I'll get to a point where it's like been like a week or so where I realize it's like not one day have I been sober. And I'm like, I should probably not do that. And then I'll take like 2 or 3 days off.
Oh,
Like, I'm
dude.
feeling really
Yeah,
good. And I just go right back into it. Like, because I start to feel great again. And I'm like, oh, I could drink again. And then right back in the cycle.
but dude, because I got medically retired from the Navy because of like severe depression and anxiety and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like I was on meds, of course, for both, but that was when I was living in Jersey, and like the Navy was paying for me to go to an out-of-town therapist there. But now since I'm out of the Navy, I have to go to the VA for this shit.
They suck, right?
I can't even go in to see them until like a month. So it's like if I don't drink, huh?
So they
What'd you
suck,
say?
right? The VA
Oh, dude, it's
sucks.
terrible. Yeah, it's horrible. So it's like I haven't had my pills for a while, which if you know anything about pills for mental health, if you just stop
No.
taking, that's fucking bad. So like, what am I supposed to do? Like just sit here in Oklahoma with my thoughts because that's fucking good. No, so I just like get hammered. But I don't know. I don't know if it's not having pills or if it's because I'm drinking more. Like we all do dumb shit when we get drunk, I'm assuming. But like I'm starting to do weird shit now. Like the other day, my fucking friend was throwing clothes in the dryer, and he's like, "Why are there empty boxes of White Claw in the dryer?" And I'm like, "I don't know." He's like, "You fucking put them in here because I was not here last night." And I'm like, "Well, I don't know why I did that or remember it."
I just I start to become more of like a recluse. Like I'll sit down and I'll just like I don't want to hang out with anybody. I just want to sit like alone and watch like a podcast. And like I'll
Yeah, I'm
just
the same way.
and it's like that's not good either. And then like when I do comedy and stuff because I live so far away, it actually helps me with that because I can't really drink too much. Like I'll have like a few beers at a mic, but then I can't get fucked up and then drive. So I'll just it kind of keeps me from drinking too much. But then if I don't work till like 10 o'clock the next day when I get home, I'll just go hard for like 2 hours.
Oh yeah, we go ham, and I'm just glad because it's like I don't know, dude. Like I'm not like I only have one friend here, and it is my roommate. I'm not gonna go hang out with anyone
It's hard to make friends right now too.
else. People are fucking, dude. It's like living in the twilight, huh?
It's hard to make friends
Say
right
again?
now too.
Yeah, it is. Not only that, but people out here are fucking weird, bro. It's like living in the Twilight Zone mixed with Duck Dynasty. It's insane.
I thought Oklahoma was an odd choice because like the last time we talked, you said that you were I think it was Arizona's that you were talking about, and then
Yeah,
it all kind of got switched up. It all happened so fast because I was talking to you about doing another episode, then you had to like get up and move and shit. And there's like
yeah.
no
It
comedy
was
scene there at all.
none. I
Not
mean,
one club.
there is in Oklahoma City and Tulsa, but I'm an hour from both of those. Like
I can't
I live in
sympathize.
a
I
town
drive
called
an hour.
Stillwater.
Oh, Stillwater. I drive an hour to every mic or show that I do, so I can't sympathize with that too much.
No, I have no problem driving there. They're just not open.
Oh, they're not open either. There's just no
No.
mics or anything.
Mm-mm. And I was talking to Mel the other day, and he was saying, "Well, create your own show out there." And I'm like, "For
With
who?
who? Yeah.
Who? Yeah, who am I going to put on? There's no like. I don't want to put like
There's no
8 or
Facebook
9.
groups or anything.
Mm-mm.
That's fucking crazy.
I'm fucking banned on Facebook right now. Anyway, again,
What'd you do
yeah.
this time?
I called a guy the F word. Like
Fucker?
the
Oh, faggot.
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck's the F word?
And like, yeah, no, it was that
Dave
guy.
Namery should never be on Facebook then. Dave
Yeah.
Namery uses that word like for every sentence.
Oh yeah, or something else. But that's just Dave though.
Hmm.
Dave is worse than me. He's been like, I think he has a lifetime ban
Twitter.
on Twitter.
He's a funny
I'm
guy.
almost assured of that.
No, yeah. He said because I talked to him about it a while ago at the boiler room, and I was like, why don't you just make like another account? He's like, no, they have like my IP and everything. He's like, I
Yeah,
can't. He's like, I
it
can't
goes off his
physically.
IP address.
Hmm.
So then he was using it on Nicole's phone,
Is that
and
his
then that
sister?
account got flagged.
His every time I do like a Zoom meet with him to do like a podcast, it's always his sister's name. I can't remember if it's Rachel or Nicole or
Rachel.
whatever. Yeah, it always pops up like it's her name when we go to do the podcast. Like,
Yeah.
who the fuck is this person? He finally changed it like the last time. He's a funny guy, but the last few mics, like every no,
Great
not the last
comedian.
one, but yeah, he's great. But like the problem is because he's so good, and like there's so many Jews that do comedy. You go to do a show, and like he'll bring up all the topics that he brings up, which are usually conspiracy related or something super sarcastic, and he'll use the word faggot. And then once he goes up, everyone after him, it's like they're all just trying to touch on whatever the fuck he said, and they use the word faggot. Like it's like I've never seen you say that word before, but it's like now that Dave gave you the green light, like I don't know. I hate watching people ride the coattails of someone else. Like, do your own shit. That's why Dave's good. It's because he's unique. He does his own thing. Like, You're all Jews. I
The
get it.
whole point of comedy, though, is finding a way to put your spin on a certain subject. And
But
if
that's
it's
what everyone says. That like the hard part is like finding your own voice. Like, sometimes they say it takes like years to find like your actual voice.
yeah,
Like Joey
but
Diaz
like
had a whole story about how he was like super anxious going to one, and something happened, like something really bad. I think it's after like his wife left and all the shit with his kid with the first marriage. And he got on stage and something like snapped, and he just went off. And he's like, that's when Coco came out, and he finally became like Joey Diaz. I guess before that he was doing whatever kind of act he was doing.
and it is hard to find your following or to find your voice in the open mic scene because you don't like have a following yet. You know,
Yeah,
like if there's an audience at the comedy show, they're there. Like when I did Levity, there was a bunch of people there, but very few of them were there for me. And if they were there because they were my friend, not necessarily a follower of my comedy. So once you start to get a following and people are going to see you because they know you, so much like easier that way, I'm assuming, but it's hard because like you're trying to reach a broad range of audience that doesn't necessarily know you.
well that's why
But
like
the one thing Dave and I
huh.
say again,
No,
what was
well,
that?
they say like because like with the regulars and stuff at whatever comedy club, like that becomes their open mic is performing in front of people. So you get and like with people like when they talk about the comedy store and stuff, you'd be on a bill with like a bunch of different people. So it was never your audience. Like Rogan talks about this all the time. Like I think it was Russell Brand was on, and Russell Brand was like, "I like to play for my audience." And Rogan's like, "Yeah, a lot of people do because you get comfortable." He's like, "But you don't get better." He's like, you learn and you improve because you're playing in front of different people who have different tastes and they're not there for you. So it's like it kind of makes you sharpen the sword a bit more and find your own way through it.
Well, even the most successful comics right now, they talk about how they struggle when they follow certain other comedians at the comedy store. Like Joey Diaz says he hates following Chris D'Elia. Like those are always his toughest sets. But it's like, and they're pros. Like he's a highly successful comedian. And so like, yeah, you still have to find your way into the groove at a with a certain audience sometimes. But like out here, I don't even know how an audience would be because it's just such a weird fucking state. First of all, the gym I go to in the parking lot, there's a guy that sells Trump flags. Like not out of the back of his car, like a huge tent that takes up maybe 30, 40 parking spots, and there's just Trump flags flying everywhere. Like weird ones too. Like there's one with him with his shirt off, but he's like jacked and he's holding a machine gun.
I've
And
seen ones
then
like that.
dude, or like it's him and Jesus doing like the fucking predator handshake. And I'm like, why do people like it's so weird?
I knew a
But then there's
guy.
also like
I knew a guy. He had a gi, and like how some of them have like the kind of like the built-in rash guard. His
I didn't
had
know that, but
oh well, yeah. Well, some of them like the inside like a gi, like they'll have like it's like the inside fabric of it is more like a rash guard type material. They're not cheap, but he got a custom one made, and on the back it said MAGA, and then on like the bottom it was embroidered to like build the wall, and then on the inside it was Trump riding a raptor with a machine gun, and like shit was on fire, and like Pence was like waving the American flag or something. It was like the craziest shit I've ever seen. It had to be like a $300 gi, at least.
it is the most it's the most insane political following I've ever seen.
Everything
It's
right now political is absurd. I hate all of it.
here's how dumb America has become. Like after the vice presidential debate, everybody's talking like 95% of the conversations after that are about one thing, a fucking fly
Yep.
on Pence's head. It's like, what are we doing here?
I mean, from what I heard from people who actually watched it, I didn't watch it.
And I can't watch that shit without getting angry
Yeah,
because
I
there's
just heard that Pence did pretty well
I
compared to
watched snippets of
Harris.
it because my roommate. No, they both did horrible. Pence did well to his followers because they're gonna like whatever he fucking says anyway. Because there was one point they asked him, "What would you do if the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade?" Which of course is the famous abortion case.
Hmm.
They're like, "What would you do if the Supreme Court were to overturn that?"
What do you think he's gonna do?
What do you think he said?
I don't even know. Probably like I don't know, like clap. I don't know.
The first thing he said was, I can't remember the guy's name. He's like, No, he talked about the Iranian general that was killed in the airport in January that almost caused World War III. And he goes, and this individual killed over 100 servicemen and women in the United States Armed Forces. And without hesitation, President Trump eliminated him. Like, that has nothing to do with what the question is. And his fans were like, but it's true. And I'm like, dude.
That's not related.
Yeah. And then he did like 3 minutes on that, which overwent the 2 minutes that they get. And he's just like,
I heard he went over a few times, but the debates in general are never gonna go the way that we'd like them to.
I quit watching because I'm just going to get angry.
Yeah, I never watched them. My friend watched the Trump one with Biden, which obviously was going to be a shit show, and he's not even political like at all. He's never has been. He has zero interest in it, but he for whatever reason felt compelled to watch it, and he was just sending me like random quotes, and I was trying to guess which one said it. Like the easiest one was like I brought football back, so there's that. And I was like, oh, that was Trump. That was Trump who said that one. But like I had to keep guessing because they were so fucking like obscure.
That's another thing too, is like if anything happens during like the presidential term that's good, he automatically gets credit for it, even if he has nothing to do with it. He didn't have to bring football back. It's so weird. It's like, dude, I got laid today. Fucking thanks, Trump. Like, what the fuck? Like, you can't just give him credit for shit that happened. Like, but dude,
I feel like that goes both
this
ways
is a
too, though.
Oh yeah, anything he says, even if it's good, which rarely happens, people are gonna like poke holes in it or rip it apart. And that's a disagreement I have with my roommate. Is I'm saying most people that watch the debates already know who they're voting for. They're there. They're watching it to cheer for their person, not to be informed or to maybe change their mind about who they're
I
voting
don't
for.
think anybody
because
who
everybody that
the internet's so crazy on your end.
I know it's so bad, dude.
But it's Oklahoma.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the internet tower is just like rims in a tree. I don't fucking
with a Trump flag hanging off it.
yeah.
And a guy drinking at the top. But no, it's yeah, like you're right. I think like, I don't think anybody watching the debates I think that's gonna change their mind. And anybody who would be considered like in the middle, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't just vote third party anyway. Everyone's like it's a wasted vote, but it's not. They keep telling you it is because the third party is starting to build up. Like the libertarian candidates, like they have governors now and mayors. They're starting to creep up, and I think both Democrats and Republicans are getting nervous that they're about to get knocked off their little podium, whatever you want to call it, pedestal.
Yeah, they're it's nuts, dude. It's very, very, very nuts. My dad, he's a journalist in Utah, so he's all about politics. You know, he's been covering them for over 30 years now. But I did a FaceTime video chat with him the other day. It was the first time we talked in months, like actually, like audibly. My dad, I don't know if he's like just lost it or if he's like, I don't think he cares about life much anymore. He wrote a paper about it in the or a story about it in the newspaper. But he lives in Utah, so he goes hiking a lot, and he's just talking to me. He's like, "Oh, dude, I got to tell you about my hike the other day." I'm like, was it hard? Was it challenging? He's like, nah, dude, I almost died. I'm like, that's fucking not good. like what the fuck happened? His dog tripped him and he fell off of a fucking cliff and knocked the fuck out for several hours and then woke up with no water and no food and no idea where he was. And the dog just looking at him like, hey, we gonna fucking go now? Like, what's up? Like, my dad, this is a terrifying, crazy story, but he just said it so nonchalantly. Like, hey, let me tell you about this. I almost died. I'm like, like
it was almost better than real life right now.
Yeah, right. Like
he's like, thank you, take me. Like, please just end it. I'm over it. Back on the comedy real quick. Diaz
He's like, yeah, I was gonna go to the hospital, but I don't have.
Oh, you can say it. So the internet. It's like I feel like we're like on like a news show where it's delayed. Like one of us starts talking, we're like 5 seconds behind.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. I'm sorry, but
well, yeah, it's not your fault.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, I was gonna go to the hospital, but I don't have health insurance, so I just went to work. Okay.
I mean, getting knocked out, I guess. Like, what are they gonna do for you there anyway? Just, I guess, try not. I mean, he definitely got a concussion, so.
Oh yeah, and like his back is already severely fucked up, and he was afraid of like internal damage because he said he was like not feeling good. But I mean, nobody ever feels good after they fall off a cliff. But I don't know. What were you saying about Diaz?
Oh, well, I was sitting like back on the comedy. Diaz is releasing like a. I'm not really sure entirely what it is because I haven't been following him much because he stopped doing the podcast, and then I saw some of his last episode that he did of his new podcast. But it's like what's it, Savage Father or Savage Dad?
Oh yeah, that's one of his old specials.
Oh, okay. So he's
Yeah,
just
it's one of
putting
his
it on
old
YouTube.
specials. Yeah, yeah, that's actually what a lot of comedians are doing is they're taking their old specials that you used to have to pay for on like Amazon Prime or stuff, and then just putting them out for free because it's one of the few ways they can generate content. Like,
Well, I know like Jesselnick just did it.
yeah, so did Big J Okerson and Dave Smith, two of the guys from Legion of Skanks
Yeah,
podcast.
I
They
meant to
released
watch
their
those.
Yeah, they're both really good, especially if you're like somewhat into the political conversation.
I watched Big J on Degenerates.
You'll love Dave Smith's because it's hilarious in that regard. But Big J's just fucking hilarious in general. He's one of my favorite comedians.
Every time I wipe my ass, I think of him now because of the talks about the toilet paper dingleberries being like little joints.
Oh, in the like in the vagina, like look like little rolled up joints for GI
Yeah.
Joes. Yeah,
You know, like every time I fucking because I have a bidet, so sometimes like the fucking paper just falls apart, and the second it happens, I'm like,
he to me he is the best crowd work comedian. He's so good at it that he has two specials, 2 hour long specials on iTunes that are complete crowd work. That's all it is. And it just showed me the art of crowd work because it's so like he's talking to this table. It's two white guys and two black guys sitting together. And he's like making jokes about them. And he goes, "You guys are all single?" He's like, "Well, are there any single ladies in here?" And like one girl cheers. And he's like, "What do you want? Two white guys or two black guys if you had to pick?" And she was trying to be funny. She's like, "One of each." He's like, "One of each." I feel you. White guy for the butt. Like just so quick like that. Like it just showed me like how good like you get to a certain level of comedy, just how good and prepared you are for anything.
yeah, I've
Like,
never
did you
been
see
good
when
with
he
crowd
got
work.
fucking attacked?
I was gonna say he's so good at
Yeah,
crowd work.
crowd work.
He got pulled off the stage.
Yeah, dude. And then Louis J. Gomez ran out and attacked the guy, but it looks like he's just tackling Big J and like helping the dude. But it's like, it's nuts. Imagine,
Gomez is a big boy too.
yeah. And he's not all there. He's a fucking, I've met the dude. He's fucking a wacko.
He did a show not too long ago at Tiff's, but I didn't see it.
Yeah, because he lives over around there. His sister is one of the bartenders at Levity. So I used to
Oh,
talk to her all the time.
yeah, I wish Levity would open back up. I was
Uh,
really hoping to like get on that stage at some point.
yeah, you were getting close because they were talking about putting you on one of the American Me shows. So
Yeah, it kind of felt like they were talking about it, and then like COVID kind of pulled the rug out from underneath me. I got like 6 months into comedy. I felt like I was making way more progress than most people I talked to. I was like right on track where I wanted to be, and then it's just like fuck you. It was like all right.
yeah, that's how it was going for me. Like the last set I did was on one of Eric Albert's shows up in Sloatsburg, New York. I did 25 minutes, a good 25 minutes too. So like I was really, really getting up there. And I was supposed to be in the finals of that competition that they were
Mm-hmm.
doing. And like everything just went to shit.
I'll take your spot when they open back up.
I'll tell Mel.
I was just fucking around, but yeah, I'll totally do it. I got stiffed. They that's the first time I think. Well, I mean, I went to a couple open mics at Levity, but during my thing, because you know they tell you to bring friends and family because it was like a voting thing, and I felt like I basically outperformed everyone on my night for the most part. I mean, the people that won on my, it was one guy. He was I don't really remember his name. It's a bigger black guy, but I never really saw him at our mic, so he must have came from further away. He was pretty good, but everyone else were like, we'd see him at Levity, and they're more of like the clean comics and stuff. And like the restaurant did have a lot of older people there, but there was multiple people who came up to me afterwards, like just like patrons, and they were like, "You just got fucking robbed." And then Mel and the guy that does the American Me, what's his name, Jason? I'm bad with names, but
Yeah,
they
Jason Rogers. Yeah.
yeah they invited me afterwards because I was like walking away. It was like a movie moment. They were like, "Preston," and I turned around like, "You want to go to Levity?" I was like, "Yeah." And I watched a guy who was on like America's Got Talent or something. He was performing. I watched at the end of his opener, and he went up, and I sat like in like the upper seats with Mel and shit.
Was this the Muslim dude? I can't think of his
No,
name.
No, he's a white guy.
Oh,
Had tattoos. I guess he was like a
I don't
finalist or
know.
something on like America's Got Talent
Yeah,
or one of those shows.
that's wild.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Got a free
Yeah.
beer out of it.
But that competition, like it was the second competition I've done, and like I never bring anybody to those because it's
I don't either.
like you want to win, but also at the same time just look at it as an opportunity to get eyes on you and
That's
like
how I do it. I don't invite
so
anybody I know to ever watch me do comedy. My parents didn't even come to like football games and shit when I was a
the
kid.
only time I ever did was when I did the Levity show because oh dude, yeah. It just puts so much more pressure on you.
I feel like
Like it's a
if
weird
you grow
feeling.
up with support like that, then maybe it's not so weird. But like I've done, I've been in bands and shit. Like I've been playing guitar since I was 12. I don't invite anybody I know to anything because it's like if I fuck up, I don't want to do it in front of people I know.
Right.
Like comedy's
And
already hard enough.
and it's not just that too, but it's like my whole life I've always been that friend that'll say something and then people will be like, dude, you can't say shit
Yeah, I've been there.
like that. And I'm just like, what? I'm just kidding. So like when I say it on stage at a comedy show, it's acceptable. But when all those same people who grew up tell me I can't say that are in the crowd, it's just weird because it's like, fuck, are they gonna like be awkward about it? Are they gonna think I suck? Are they gonna lose faith in me? So it's just like I'd rather just like oddly enough have strangers there and make them laugh.
Well, that kind of goes in what I was telling you about. I won't talk about it too much on the podcast, but it kind of goes in what I was telling you about with the other comic at the mic when he said something about some of my jokes. It just like it set me off for like a week. I would every other day I'd start thinking about it and just get fucking pissed. Like it genuinely got to me.
Yeah, you can't unless it's a poorly written joke or a stolen joke or a partially stolen joke. Don't let up people like criticize you like that because comedy
It
is
wasn't
such
even
a
so
vast.
much. It wasn't like the I mean, because it made me a little insecure about the joke, but it really just upset me at the idea of another comic telling me like, "Hey, you shouldn't say things like that" and stuff like that, or like that he looked at me differently because of something I said on stage. It made me like it offended me to the point. It's like, why are you doing comedy? Like I got mad at him, like not so much like at myself. It's just
If a comic looks at you differently, like if a comic looks at you differently for something you say on stage that is a joke, you should look at them differently as a comic. Like, come on, dude.
well, that's kind of what happened. That's why like it upset me, but
Don't take it with a grain of salt.
well,
You're
that's what
gonna
I'm
get
doing now. But
because if you eventually want to be a comedian, you're gonna get criticized a lot. I say.
oh yeah, I don't mind like people saying shit. It was just like the fact that like I basically looked at it as like a coworker, like we're on like the same team, like you should be on my team kind of thing.
Yeah. No,
Like
I
you should have my
feel
back
that.
on that.
I feel that. Like I've received advice from comedians before, but not to like scrap the joke, but to just change it. So like when I used to tell the joke about people thanking me for my service, at first I'd be like, fuck you, stop doing that, and then explain why I don't like it. And they're like, no, because it seems like you're attacking the crowd. Find a way to say the joke where like you still thank them, but then get the joke out, which is what I did. But like advice like that is helpful.
Yeah,
But
no
to
one ever
say
really
like,
helps me like that. I would like someone to help me like that because there's times I have a joke where it's like I feel like the structure of it or whatever.
yeah,
Like
it was
it's
Anthony Marcellisi who told
oh yeah, that makes sense. But I've had jokes where like I'm looking at it and I could see like the road is going down and like where it should be getting a laugh, but then you could feel like even if you do get some laughs, you could feel where it's awkward, and it's just like I if I had like another perspective on it to maybe attack it from a different angle that I don't see, it might work better. But I have a hard time at this point in my
two of the best guys to ask for help on shit like that with, from my experience. And like if you just ask them, because that's what I did, is Dave and then Nate Bennett. They're both really good at that shit.
Nate hasn't really been around much. I saw him one time month or so ago, and then he got a new camera, and then he just kind of disappeared after that.
Oh, is he doing shit for that now?
I don't think so. He like got it, during quarantine, like to fuck around with, and he was still really new with it. He was like trying to figure out how it worked and stuff. But it was like one of the first mics to start popping up, and then I never saw him again. I saw that he did one other mic on like under a bridge after that, and then no one's seen him.
Did you just say under a fucking bridge?
Yeah, dude, comedy's like being a fucking Jew in the Nazi regime right now. You're like hiding under places. Like the one that I saw him at is this place called the Wawa. I thought it was gonna be a gas station. It's in not New Brunswick,
Oh, you talking about the one down in Union City?
something like that. It's
It's at like a Moose Lodge, but it's called the Wawa Social Club.
yep, yep, and
Yeah,
but
I've done that
it's a micless mic.
a couple of times. But yeah, when they said it was at a Wawa, I was like, oh shit, no mic. Oh, because of fucking spreading germs and shit.
I guess, but if I did it, I think twice, and I just it makes me fucking feel weird, like not having the microphone and stuff. And now they do it out in the yard, and it's just like it just feels weird. Like it doesn't feel right to me. A lot of people do it, so I guess I should go back to it. But I've been doing tiffs because they use a mic, and then Comedy Cove is back, and they use a mic, but they want you to take a sandwich bag on stage and put it over it. It's fucking weird.
Bro. I'm low key like even if they were to do a comedy show out here, I'm low key scared to do one because, like I said, people out here are fucking strange and easily offended. I don't mean like in a liberal sense. I mean like if I say one thing about Trump or a type of conservative belief, like, dude, there's like relaxed gun laws out here, unlike in Jersey. So it's like I can deal with an angry person like waving a finger in my face much more than like a fucking 357. Like I just like I don't know.
I
I
don't
don't
think they're
know.
gonna pull a gun on you, but and I guess they might. Look at how many murders happened in Oklahoma.
Bro, there was an yeah, dude, there was an incident that happened out here. A guy shot his neighbor with a shotgun because his neighbor was having a yard sale the same day he was also having a yard sale.
I think you just found one of your first jokes you could do if you go up on stage there.
Oh, dude, there's so many jokes I can write about Oklahoma. Like, bro, the first month I moved here, I honestly thought they handed out fucking medical meth cards. Like, every time I walk out of Walmart, there's some dude with
I
like
saw you
no
post a
teeth.
video.
Yes. There's some dude with no teeth just like doing an air jump solo to a song in like his fucking head. And like he'll still be offbeat somehow. Like I don't fucking get it. Like it's a
That's the thing
wild.
is like up here, like in Jersey and stuff, it's heroin. But when you go down south and stuff, it's more meth.
It's meth and just inbred fucking genes.
Yeah, I grew
Like
up
I
in
was
Florida mostly, so I've seen some weird shit like that.
well, I'm from Nevada, which isn't a great place. And like I
Mhm.
tell people out here all the time, I'm like, dude, this place is shady. And they're like, well, how would you know? I'm like, well, I lived in Nevada. I've lived in New Jersey and I've been to the Middle East twice. And I'm telling you, this place is fucking sketch. Like
You gotta get out of there.
it's fucking so weird. Oh yeah, I'm definitely moving after the semester, but I
And
have to wait for semester to end.
you're still looking at Vegas?
Yeah, because that's where I'm from. I have a bunch of friends out there. I have family. If I never need somebody to like just fall back on for, real quick, and then my friends out there. One of them is a rapper who does shows all the time, but he's come into contact with people who book comedy shows. And then I have another friend who used to work for a hotel who knows a lot of comedy bookers as well. And then, of course, the connections I've made in New York and New Jersey, they obviously know people out there as well. So I just feel like I have a good like foothold kind of there. And I would still be making the same amount, like the money I would get is still 1,400 a month out there. It's cheap. So, and I know the area, but it's just not here, which is
The best thing.
the main thing. Like people like just to emphasize what the state is like. Before it was called Oklahoma, it was called the Indian Territory, which means it was a place reserved where they were forcing a group of people to move to that they blatantly called by the wrong race. Like the whole Trail of
And
Tears
then
that
made them
ended in
move
Oklahoma.
again.
Yeah, yeah, and then white people were like, "Nah, we want this now," and then it's fucking still shitty.
Well, if you get out to Vegas and you get anywhere, let me know. I'll ride out there. I've never been to Vegas. I've heard lots of stories though.
Sure. Really?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't. I'm
it's
not sure how much I'd like it. I'm not a big like party guy or anything. I mean, like I like to hang out with some people, but I don't like big crowds and shit.
no, and I don't like just partying like that. Like I love drinking by myself or
Yeah,
with a
that's
small
what,
group of friends.
exactly. Yeah,
But I
I'm
don't
not a
want to
big
get drunk.
gambler either.
See, I am not at like casinos. I bet on sports a lot.
But that's a little. I mean, that's still, I'm sure, maybe better in Vegas as well. But Vegas is like known for the casinos and shit, and I have no interest in that stuff.
Yeah, I still don't. I'm from there and I have no desire to do any of that shit. It's just not.
That might even be why you have no desire. Growing up around, you're like, eh, fuck it.
I used to get questions all the time, like, dude, was it just crazy growing up in Vegas? I'm like, dude, I was a kid. Like, I
You're like,
wasn't.
I wasn't into slots. Like,
Yeah, I wasn't doing blow off hooker's ass. Like, I was a fucking child. I was eating Teddy Grahams just like you.
only my telegrams were psilocybin.
But this is a true story. It does raise the. Oh my God, this is a true story. Growing up in Vegas does do this. It raises the bar extremely high in terms of like entertainment value, especially at a young age. Bro, when I was 7, we were at a casino and I saw an old woman at a slot machine with an oxygen tank and a cigarette catch on fire. And I was like, dude, fuck Disneyland. Like, I want to see the mouse do that shit. Like,
Hmm.
it was nuts. I'm like that's the craziest thing I've probably seen still
I
to
uh
this day. And it's just like, I'm bored of shit.
like growing up in Florida, like I lived in a
Hold on a second.
couple.
Yeah, hold on. Sorry, my roommate just came back with alcohol, so I had to grab one.
You big on those White Claws.
Oh, yeah. It got so bad, I actually bought a fucking can crusher the other day. Like
Just
the
to get
trash
rid of
cans,
the cans.
yeah, trash cans already almost filled up with just crushed cans.
And you make me want to go get some White Claws now. But I think everything's closed around here. But
Really?
yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah,
close
I
at 8.
forgot.
Even Walmart, I think, is still closing at like 8 or 9 or something like that. But yeah,
It's just like, I mean, most places close.
yeah,
Like gas stations out here sell alcohol, and gas stations are open 24/7. So I can just go in there and buy some.
yeah. If I go over to like Port Jervis, but I think even there, like in New York, they were making the gas stations and shit like inside closed down at a certain time. Although
I
it was
think,
Quick Checks in Jersey that were open, but they don't sell alcohol.
yeah, the gas, you only can buy them from a fucking liquor store. Yeah. Oh, you got the vodka? This is my roommate. What it
What's
is,
going
Mo?
on? What's going on?
What's going on, man? I feel more. Stop. Don't miss your mouth. I got you. That's probably a shot of vodka. So this thing here is called a jigger. Not to
Mm.
be confused. It's really close. But I say it like I fucking, he knows what I'm doing. I'm like, yo, have you seen my jigger? And he'll be like, don't do that. Don't do that.
I thought you were gonna add an A to the end of it. Try to be nice about it.
Mm-mm. No, I've done that too. Like I'll say shit that sounds like I'm saying the N-word, but I'm not. But I say it super quick, and he's like, "Nah, you're too close." He'll just shut his door. He's like, "You're grounded." Won't talk to me for like fucking 2 days.
Have you seen the name of the thing on top of like the Hershey Kiss?
Uh-uh.
Let me see if I can find it real quick. I forget the name of it. It's something also close. I have to look up the name of it though.
He falls asleep in his chair like every night, and like we'll be snoring, and I'll take this big ass Bluetooth speaker here and I'll put it under his chair and come back to my room and play like air raid sirens off of my phone or just like train horns and just wake him the fuck up. But there was one time I played the air raid siren and he thought it was a tornado siren because yeah, we get those out here too. And he almost fucking ran down. He's like, dude, I almost ran down to the hot water heater and was gonna hide in there. Okay.
Not the best spot, but
I mean, if a tornado reaches anywhere you're at, you're fucked. No way. Yeah.
I was waiting for you to get them.
Hold on. This is what the paper around a Hershey's Kiss is called.
Hell no. No, it's not. Get out of here, for real.
Say it out loud.
I'm not saying that bullshit.
I'm not
We
fucking
can't
saying
say it.
Well, you shouldn't. It's called a niggly wiggly.
That just sounds like an epileptic black dude.
No, yo. They was pushing it back then.
Oh yeah, they were pushing it back then.
Well, at least they could have did one.
Why? So you can sell that too? Oh man.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
got some.
me and him are actually starting a podcast together here pretty soon.
You gonna call it Niggly Wigglies?
No, that would be great though. We're definitely talking about that on there. Nah, because so like he and I are the same age, 28. But like our backgrounds are so completely different, yet very similar. Like we didn't grow up in the greatest areas. He's from Tulsa. And he actually used to be a gang member. He was a blood for a long time, did like real gang shit. Got recruited to play football here at Oklahoma State University, where he did. He's actually super smart. You wouldn't tell by like looking at him or listening to him, but he's like,
That's the
he's
most
got a
racist
degree.
thing you've ever said.
Oh yeah, he's got a degree in engineering. He's super fucking smart at it. He was a professional boxer, and then of course my story. I was in the military for 9 years. I was an amateur boxer. I was never a professional, but I was still pretty good. And then, but we're here in the same place, and by circumstance live together. He's also a huge comedy fan. He's watching comedy every day. Like that was one of the first things we connected on. Like he's a huge Tom Segura fan, like I am, and shit like that. So it's like he's funny, I'm funny, but we got like crazy shit to talk about, sports, whatever. So we're just gonna talk about whatever.
When you drop it, I'll promote it.
Hell yeah, I appreciate that.
If you guys have guests, I'm always down for that too.
I'm trying to. So I'm thinking of getting like a little audio recorder, like Dave has. Have you ever done a podcast with Dave?
Only mine. I've never done his podcast.
Dave for his? But he has one of these little audio handheld recorders.
You know, like called Zoom recorders and stuff. Tascam makes one too.
I don't. So because I'm trying to figure out a way, because he and I are just like, we live together, so we're just going to be sitting next to each other recording it. But I've also wanted to get guests, like people he knows, people I know. But I don't know how I would incorporate that with a handheld recorder. I'm gonna have to do.
Well, after this, I'll message you some stuff because like I said, I've been playing guitar since I was 12. I mean, you can't really see it, but if you look, I have a drum set over there, my boxing gloves, and then a bunch of guitars, a whole wall of amplifiers. Like I got a ton of fucking musical equipment. I have a ton of microphones, so I'm decently knowledgeable in how to record audio. So I have multiple ways for you to be able to do what you want to do and do it with guests and stuff, even with a handheld thing. And if you're going to do like long range guests and stuff, Zoom so far seems to be the best option that I've found.
And then just like put the recorder kind of next to like the speaker so it gets picked up.
I would do it to where you could have it to where it records you guys, and you know you could even have it to where it records that. But then I'll show you like through Zoom, like you could press record like I do, and it takes the video and everything, and then it gives you a separate audio file, and then in another program you could just put them together, so you have very good audio of them and then very good audio of you. It's all. I could send you videos too. Like I could like literally just record my computer screen of me showing you how to do it and everything. It's not.
Yeah, dude, because I am fucking retarded when it comes to technology. Like when I came home, when I bought my new laptop for school the week before school started, I came home, my roommate was like, yo, what kind of laptop did you get? I was like, HP. And he's like, that's the brand, but what kind did you get? And I was like, oh, I don't know. he's looking at the specs for me. He's like, oh, it's got a lot of RAM. I'm like, no idea what that is, dude.
Should make it faster theoretically.
Our Wi-Fi went out one night, shocking, and because our other two roommates, one of them is his cousin, and then another one is a 19-year-old white kid who's like always playing Warzone and like just yelling at people through a fucking headset. But he was trying to fix it. he was trying to fix the internet. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna reset the router and I'm gonna plug in the modem. I'm like, those aren't the same thing. Like, no. I'm like, dude, I thought those were the same thing. Like, I don't know shit when it comes to technology.
I'll help you out. No worries. I'm going to probably end this in a little bit, but before I go, I want to pull up at least some of the videos I had set aside.
All right.
We're not going to get to the one that was really crazy. I found this ridiculous show that you could only watch on Pornhub. It's like a cartoon show, though. It's fucking crazy.
Say Pornhub?
Yeah, it's Pornhub, and they have like their own site, but it's called like Peepudo or something like that. And it's like, it looks kind of like, Adventure Time or something, like some sort of like kids cartoon show, but everything's like somehow like oddly sexual. And it's fucking bizarre, but it's really funny actually. But me and my friend discovered it like a few episodes ago on the podcast. This one is not as funny.
Can you full screen it? Oh!
Guess you didn't expect that.
I mean, I was expecting some crazy shit to happen, but not the dude to fucking Circus Olay to death.
I'm not sure if he's dead or not. I had a hard time finding this one earlier, and when I finally found it,
Is that an Indian guy?
I don't know. He looks like he might be Spanish or Latino.
We got plenty of them.
We could sacrifice a few. But
I don't know what race he is, but homie is fucked up.
yeah, so
Did his shoes fall off?
they're like loading him in a fucking van too. But the way they're moving him around isn't the best either.
Oh yeah, no stabilization to his spine or his neck. They're like, dude, he's probably gonna die, but like, let's just get him out of here.
Well, here I'll show the screen again real quick, just because it says on this one too now. Now that I noticed it, because the other video it was taken down, so I had to really search for it. But if you look, it says, hold my feeding tube after not wearing proper PPE while working on cell towers. Possible death. Like it straight up tells you like he may have died. So I'm not sure.
I think homie's dead, bro.
That was a fall, but
I
I don't
know
know.
you said you're not a big gambler, but I think it's a safe bet to say that motherfucker is no longer with us.
I wonder if anybody has any means of finding out.
No, they probably don't even have hospital records over there. They're like, yeah,
We
some
don't even
guy
know
came-
where. It could have been like Oklahoma.
Yeah, then he's definitely dead.
He fell from the Wi-Fi tower.
I wouldn't be surprised if fucking doctors out here still wore like those metal disc things on their forehead.
That'd be cool though.
Walk in, just sawing off some dude's skull top. Yeah, I'd be like, fuck.
Yeah, they use a hacksaw. They don't even fucking. This one's a little bit more lighthearted.
There's old people.
I have no idea what's going on in this entire video.
I don't either, but I bet you the lady getting hit said the N-word. Like,
That's probably a safe assumption, and this chick is just there.
oh, yeah. If you're an old black lady in a wheelchair, you have no reason to hit somebody unless, like, that old white woman definitely said the N-word. And then that's why the other black lady is dying laughing.
I have like a premise. Mel said he liked it. I don't really know where to go with it, but it was just the idea that if you look at like, a lot of the pictures that you see from the 50s and 60s, it's always like the paper boy and the milkman and, the picket fence nuclear family. But I said, like, if you follow them past just their mourning, like they're for sure going to drop a hard N-bomb.
Oh,
And then,
yeah.
like, the other pictures are like, black guys getting sprayed with hoses, but that's the shit you don't normally see when people talk about the 50s and 60s. I don't really know where to go with it. I feel like there's a good talking point there. I just haven't quite figured it out yet. But
I used to have something similar to when I was making fun of old people. And I'm like, if you're like in your 40s or 50s and you think you're old, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, if you're old enough that at one point in your life you said, hey, that water fountain, then you're super fucking old. Like, shit, like there is a lot to go there. Like,
that's not even
it's
that
crazy,
old. Because
like-
my dad was born in 1970, and 1964, I think, is when like that shit kind of ended.
The last state to end segregation was 1973. So yeah, there's
Yes, there
nothing
you go.
about Oklahoma. I was alive when they made it marital rape illegal.
I can't. How do you even rape your wife?
It used to be. So I got here after it was fun.
Yeah, sucks to be you. Now there's no point in getting
Yeah, like
married.
no, dude, like she's married to me. She's supposed to. Yeah, it's fucking wild. Like I was
Her
alive.
womanly
when
duties.
Oh, bro.
This one's also kind of lighthearted, just because I like seeing fat kids get hurt.
Yeah, that sounds super lighthearted. Okay.
He has it coming, right? He's never gonna touch a vagina.
No.
That kid too, the kid sitting in front of him is my favorite because he does not move the entire
Dude,
time.
no cares at all. Just like keeps looking at. First of all, what class was that?
I don't know, but it was.
Is it one of the ones where like they walk to the restroom together? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I had to do that for a while, but yeah, I don't know. It was just it's in like it's a Reddit called like cringe something. I can't remember the name of it, but it's just kid sprains ankle during presentation. But the fact like I've sprained my ankle and yeah, it hurts. But like, dude, I've never if I'm in public, even if I'm alone, when I get hurt, my usual reaction is I get like overly angry at inanimate objects. Like if I like stub my toe, I'm like pissed off at my bed. And, like, but I don't make a noise. I just like stare at something like I want to kill it. Like I couldn't imagine like if I was in public and I got hurt, I usually just like I've gotten like kind of fucked up like riding a bike. I just lay there like completely silent. Like I just like I wait for the pain to go away, then I'll talk. I'm not gonna scream in public.
dude, no, I'm the same way. When I hit my ankle on like the metal edge of like the bench press station the other day, and it fucking hurt. And I just like I couldn't show anything because there's people around. So I'm just standing there, but inside I'm like, fuck this bench, fuck this gym. But like I'm just sitting there like just listening to my music. It hurts so fucking bad. I like how that kid crying sounds like a drunk Mexican dude laughing. like they yeah. Like, dude, but he's crying.
He was so ridiculous, dude. The second I saw that, like, the kid right next to him clearly was like, "Fuck this dude," and the teacher doesn't even come and help him for a while. Like, and like it's like what makes it worse is I think he was trying to do like the Napoleon Dynamite thing, like the dance.
Yeah, is this part of the show? Like,
yeah, and it's like I guess like if he would have been better at it, like what made it funny in Napoleon Dynamite is the fact that Bill Hader was able to like actually pull off the dance.
Right.
Like if you're gonna do something that stupid, like you have to actually be able to like do it well. Like you have to be able to dance sarcastically, correctly.
That same kid probably also plays with nunchucks at home terribly.
He's never gonna have kids. Just fucking pops a testicle every other day. But yeah.
God, he shouldn't have kids. Look at.
I think Bill Burr had a whole bit about being on like an airplane and like they got turbulence and the guy started screaming. And he's like, "What the fuck is that?" He's like, "You gotta push that shit down." He's like, "You're a man. You gotta push your feelings down and act like you got control of the situation, even when you don't."
Do some man shit right now.
Yeah, that's exactly like that kid was not beaten enough as a child.
Even then, but it's like, have you never been hurt before? Like, never plays.
I guess never like that. I mean, a sprained ankle hurts, but like Jesus Christ.
What's HMFT? What's that?
It's a hold my feeding tube. That's what a lot of these are from.
Oh no, this is another dude getting fucking wrecked.
It's not as bad.
Still, it can't be good.
You'll see.
No. Oh my god. He's just getting made into a fucking Twizzlers.
Yeah, when you watch him go around the first time, it looks like he breaks his legs, I think.
Yeah, because they're just fucking...
It's like hyperextending the knees.
Yeah. Blech. His shoes fly off.
Everyone's shoes keep coming off. Apparently, minorities don't know how to tie their shoes. I don't know.
What's crazy is, like, I know my dad's gonna watch this episode because I talked about him, and he's gonna be like, "See, I told you I didn't get that fucked up." I'm like, that doesn't justify his dad.
I think it's stuck in a textile machine, so I'm fine. And he gets up too, I think, at the end. Yeah, so he's right there. He's standing up. So I mean, I guess he didn't break his legs. I thought that was crazy though. Like he just like, I thought that would have really fucked him up, like way worse.
Yeah, dude, he got fabricated around that fucking, like. First of all, they shouldn't be letting him stand up. They need to sit his ass down. He's probably in shock.
All of these places that people get hurt, they don't seem to have any comprehension of these.
Yeah, or care ever. But what's funny is like people were at least carrying the first dude. Somebody was trying to break up that old lady fight. His homies helped him. That fat kid had no one in his corner. They're just like, dude, this is better than the dance, bro. I'm gonna enjoy this. Like,
how do you actually bring it up? Both white people so far have had no one on their side. I think we can see where the real racism lies now.
That's just like the other jokes. Bill Burr and Tom Segura both have them. Like, there's no such thing as white person loyalty. Like,
no.
If a black person sees another black guy getting fight,
they don't even care why.
Just because they're the same color, they're going to involve themselves. If I see a white guy get his ass beat, I'm going to be like, fuck that guy, kill him. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I usually just walk by everything. I don't really care. I'm like, that's not my business. I'm not going to fuck with that right now.
Nope. That's how people get fucking stabbed. Now,
exactly.
Unless I see somebody like my dad, going back to him, another crazy story he told me. So in his 20s, he did some crazy shit. This was way before he was a journalist. He's just living that, that wild life that most of us do in our 20s. One time he had a job in LA, and his whole job was to deliver Winnebagos to rich people that ordered them. And he's driving through a sketchy part of LA, like Compton or Crenshaw or something, and he gets a flat tire on the Winnebago, and he pulls over to change it. And as he's changing it, a black dude comes running around the corner and is chased by like 15 other black dudes. They tackle him, cut his tongue out, and then shoot him. So he's like, yeah, he had to have been a snitch. I'm like, well, what the fuck were you doing the whole time? He's like, what do you think I was doing? I was hiding under the Winnebago with a tire iron. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, did they see you? He's like, yeah. And then they helped me change the tire. I'm like, what? They just killed a guy in front of you and then just helped you. Hey, man, you need some help? He's like, yeah, I was shaking the whole time I was holding that tire iron.
No, they probably weren't afraid of him calling the cops because they could just kill him too if they wanted to.
Oh yeah, he got stabbed by a homeless dude one time who was like 7 feet tall, and
wait, what? The story's already so ridiculous.
No, it's fucking nuts. First of all, my dad's like 5'5", 5'6" on a good day, and this dude told my dad to give him his shoes. And my dad's like, you're fucking 7 feet tall. Like, my shoes aren't going to fit in your hands, bro. So the dude just stabbed him. Like, a lot.
I want to have another podcast soon, and I want your dad on it.
Oh, my dad's fucking wild. He's so much more tame now. I was talking to him the other day, and like I said, it was on video chat, and I just keep seeing him lean over. But then I see like a lighter and smoke. I'm like, are you smoking weed right now? He's like, yeah. I'm like, that's what's up. We are totally different in our weed smoking life because he used to smoke weed like my whole childhood, basically. And when I was older, like a teenager, I knew what he was doing. He had a pipe that looked like a fucking socket wrench. Mm-hmm. And what the socket was the bowl. And I always knew when he was going to smoke weed. Like, my mom would be nagging at him and he'd grab it. He's like, I'm going to go to the shed and fix some shit. I'm like, okay, it's the third time.
I'm fixing my fucking attitude.
This week, but all right, I hope it's fixed. But yeah, I didn't smoke weed for the first time until like 2 months ago. Literally July of this year was the first time I ever smoked weed.
Your entire life?
Yeah, like I never did it as a kid. Like when I was doing sports and stuff, I didn't want to fuck it up. And then
I started when I was like 14 or 15. I was
in the Navy for 9 years, and we're not allowed to. You get kicked out for that shit. So I smoked it for the first time with my best friend like 2 months ago. So the first time I did it was with him and like one of his girlfriend's friends, and it was just like a little pipe, and I didn't feel anything. And they're like, oh, most people don't feel it their first time. And then a couple days after that, Huh?
You usually have to smoke enough for it to like get in your system.
Well, then a few days later, they had me hit a Jeeb, the fucking gravity bong with the water bottle. I did that, and like for the first 10 minutes, I'm like, I don't feel anything. So then I go to the shower, and I'm showering, and I'm pissed off. I'm like, fuck, man, I still don't feel anything. And then out of nowhere, I felt like I was having an out of body experience watching myself shower. And I was like, dude, remember that one time you were showering? I'm like, fuck, I'm still showering. And like I had a song in my head that I
You
was just
won't leave.
like repeating over and over. Yeah. And then I start dying laughing. I'm like, fuck, dude, if I go out there laughing, they're gonna know I'm super high. So like I stared at myself in the mirror for like 5 minutes to stop laughing. I finally stopped laughing. I opened the door, they're looking at me, and I just started busting up laughing.
I wish
My
I still
friends,
got that.
dude, he's like, dude, what were you singing in there? I'm like, I was singing. He's like, yeah, something about that's the way the world goes around. I'm like, dude, I thought that song was in my fucking head. Like, then they left. My friend went to his girlfriend's house to stay the night, and I'm high as shit by myself. Fucking just, I was eating bread and dipping it into butter, like chips and salsa, and just eating it. I ate like half a loaf of bread with
That's
butter.
not
It
good.
was fucking, dude, it was so bad. But I was so fucking hungry, dude.
I get that. Like, I don't really get hungry while I'm high now. It's usually like usually when I'm high, I actually want nothing to do with food, and it's like once I like it kind of wears off and I'm burnt, and I'm just sitting around, then I get hungry. But now it's like it's all different for me too, because like I took a few years off. I smoked this shit called like K2 or Spice, because back like when my wife or when she was my girlfriend and she was pregnant with my son, she wanted me to stop because it was illegal. It became like a big deal for like a year. And I went to the legal shit, and that shit I think kind of fucked me up because I started getting like severe panic attacks from it.
Right.
And then when I went back to weed, it like that would give me panic attacks a lot. And now I'm at the point again I could like I don't like to do it out in public a lot with a lot of people around because it just no like I get everything I get way more sensitive to shit. So like I
Right.
like music sounds better. Like you start to pick up things in the background and stuff you never noticed. But when there's a lot of like a big crowd or a lot of people talking to you, I fucking hate how that feels. But there's two different like main strains. I'm not sure how much you know about weed,
Talking
but
about indica and sativa?
yeah, indica. My dad likes to call it indicouch, and I am big on that one now, which I used to not be so much. But I take like I'll smoke sativa because I don't do pre workouts because that shit gives me panic attacks too. So I'll smoke a sativa before I play drums or lift weights or like hit my heavy bag. And then when I'm like hanging out with my wife and watching TV or whatever, I'll
Huh.
smoke a indica because then they can just get chilled out. But then the worst thing is like I'll smoke a good amount before going to bed, and every time I'm starting to fall asleep, some fucking crazy thing will go through my head. Like I'm like, that's a good joke, and I like wake back up and like have to fucking put it in my phone real quick. But I never write like the full thought. It's always like a snippet, and I wake up and read it in the morning. I'm like, what the fuck was I thinking about?
Dude, that's how I am when I was drunk. I ran into my roommate's room the other day, and I'm like, dude, I have the perfect name for our podcast. He's like, bro, I'm trying to fucking sleep. I'm like, oh, my bad. And then the next day, he's like, so what'd you have to tell me? I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you ran in my room to wake me up to tell me you had the perfect name for our podcast. I was like, oh, I don't remember. It's just, I fucking do wild shit. Fucking, I did coke too with my barber while I was in Jersey. That fucking, talk
I've never
about
done
a
coke.
dude, it's so overrated. And like, I was still a pussy because he's like, hey, do you want to smoke some weed? I'm like, I can't. I'm still in the Navy technically, and if they just so happen to drug test me, I'm fucked. He's like, well, I have coke, and I'm like, dude, that's like no, like, how do you go from hey, you want some chill drugs to like, dude, you want some fucking crazy
That'll
shit?
get
I'm
out of
like,
your
no.
system
He's
quicker.
like, bro, it's out of your. Yeah, that's what he said. He's like, it's out of your system in like 24 hours. And I
Yeah.
was still like apprehensive and a pussy about it. I'm like, I don't know, dude. And he was like, it'll make you super good at Madden. I'm like, fuck, let me try it. And then dude, I was good at Madden for like 20 minutes because then it goes away.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
I
that's
had the taste of aspirin in my mouth.
something my dad said. He's like, the problem with coke is like you have to keep doing it, and then it becomes a real issue.
Yeah, and I don't want to do that. It fucking tastes like you feel it in your nose still, and like your whole mouth just tastes like aspirin. It's
And
fucking
shit gets
horrible.
numb.
Yeah,
You should have you fucked with psychedelics at all?
not yet.
There,
There's
there's no explaining that, but especially like the depression and stuff, that might be a fun one to test out. Mushrooms are. I haven't done acid. I've heard it's similar but different, more like a clean version of mushrooms. But there's no explaining how it feels. But afterwards, and there's a lot of studies, I guess now, how you just for like a good month or so, it really helps with anxiety and depression. So I'll
Well,
do like
where
a.
I'm extremely apprehensive there is because I heard you can have good trips and you can have bad trips.
That's not necessarily true. The bad trip. So I mean, I'm assuming that you dream, right?
Yeah, but I don't often remember them.
Well, yeah, that's a lot of people. But I mean, do you remember ever having nightmares and stuff?
Yeah.
It's that. I mean, because it's basically like it's almost like dreaming while you're awake, but it's like these way
Or
more.
just extremely dark.
What was the last part?
I don't necessarily have nightmares, but I'll have extremely dark lucid dreams.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of what it's like. Like you'll be like, I mean, assume that you don't take an insane amount to where you're like completely gone. Like if you just do it, like a trip dose is like I think like an eighth and like 4 grams, some shit like that. And you'll get to the point where like shit kind of like has like its own motion to it, like this carpet in my dad's basement because he was like, "Here, eat this," and then like that was my first time with mushrooms. My dad's like, "Here, I got some for you," and then I look over and he has like a Big Lebowski carpet that my mom got him, and the Big Lebowski was like he looked like a hologram on top of it, like he was like popped off and like vibrating, like all the heads around it were vibrating too, and it's like a basement. So like my basement's the same way, but it's hard to explain. It's like a cement floor, almost kind of looks like sand, but it looks like it's like moving within itself. Like it does weird shit like that, and like it's really hard to explain the visuals. But then the mental aspect of it is where it gets like crazy because you start to have like these thoughts and things make so much sense, but you can't like formulate it to like fully explain it. Then you'll listen to like people like Bill Hicks, and like he somehow does figure out a way to like at least explain it to a degree. That's why I've always thought he was really prolific, but I think you dig it. It's definitely beneficial. And like the bad shit, like I didn't really have anything bad so far. And there's a new documentary out, and they're basically saying there is no real bad trip. It's just like you have like really introspective shit sometimes. But
So I've had like where you were saying where like weed will give you like anxiety attacks and stuff.
mhm.
Like I've smoked weed and yeah, I'll get the same thing where like I just assume the worst is gonna happen and like my life's gonna go to shit and I'll start feeling awful about myself. But then there's sometimes I smoke it and I'm fucking just chilling, having like such a good time. So that's why I'm kind of scared about shrooms because it's like fuck, I don't like it's a flip of the
Well,
coin.
well, it's not so much the flip of the coin. They say it's all about set and setting. So it's like who you're with. Like make sure like you're with people. Like, you always want to be with somebody who's done it. And they say like the best group is like a group of three. Someone who does the other two people should have already done it, like in the past. One stays sober for the whole thing, and the other one does the same amount as you. So you basically have like a babysitter, and then someone who's already experienced who's also doing like the same amount as you. But I
Okay.
mean, 4 grams, like you're not gonna go like anywhere like crazy. Like it's really hard to explain it too because like people will talk about like breathing, like how like everything looks like it's kind of breathing, and like life itself almost feels like it's breathing when you're on it. And like there's moments like you go like in and out of like this like really deep part of like your brain. It's like you're going like this really deep thought, and all of a sudden like, you just come right back, and like you're back in the room and things look cool. It's like it's so hard to explain with words, but the other thing about it is like you could have a bad trip, but just like how you have a nightmare, like you'll just wake up and it's fine. And it's usually like it'll teach you something about yourself if you do have a bad one. But the chances of you actually having a bad one if you're with people and doing things that you like is
Right.
actually apparently pretty low. I don't really
Yeah.
know anybody who's had a bad trip. It's almost like it to me the way it's being explained to me now that I'm an adult is it sounds almost more like propaganda. Like I'm sure it can happen, but the
Right.
amount or the odds of it or like the severity of it, and it usually just sounds like people who didn't respect it in the
Now
first place.
that I think about it, everyone that I've yeah, it was everybody that's told me about them having a bad trip or has seen somebody have a bad trip. It was people who were already in a horrible mental state to begin with,
Yeah, you want to be clear
or
headed.
were fucked up on something else, like a person who already did like Molly or acid or was extremely drunk and then they took them. So yeah,
Yeah.
of course, like fucking dancing with the devil at that point.
Apparently, shrooms, from what I hear, could also be a bit more. I don't really know the good word for it, but I guess like not like the odds of you having a bad trip are better, but like the feeling of it is just different. I guess like acid is just a lot easier to kind of just ride like a straight line with. I've never done acid, and also like every tab could be completely different strength. I have no idea how to judge the potency of acid.
Like one of my best friends, we were in the Navy together, and he's from Philly. He did acid a couple times, but he's fucking big into EDM,
Mm-hmm.
and I hate EDM. I think it's some of the worst music on the planet.
I don't
And
really
he's like,
listen to it, but
have you taken acid when listening to it? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, that's why you don't like it, dude. If you take acid on it, it's amazing. I'm like, then that means acid's good, not fucking
yeah,
EDM. Like,
everything probably
I'll
sounds
stick
better
with
on an
thinking that it
acid.
fucking, yeah, of course it does. That's what, like, that was one of the jokes I came up with, like, which pissed you off today with the one I posted on Instagram.
Yeah,
Was
fuck you.
when I was like, I smoked weed for the first time. Yeah, Tool still sucked. Like, I
Tool,
just hate Tool.
I like Tool a lot, but I also like I play like every instrument. So well, not every instrument, but I play a lot of instruments. So like their drummer
Right.
is amongst the greatest drummers of all time. And then vocally, I don't think he's like the greatest vocalist, but I like it. And I like a lot of like the like if you watch like there's a lyric video for 46 and 2, and like it kind of breaks down. I think it's 46 and 2. Like no, maybe it's 46 and 2. There's one that's all about the shadow. So it's like the shadow of your personality. It breaks down like basically psyche and how like you have like a part of your personality. Like you ever hear like people wear masks? Like you always have a different mask for different people that you talk to. Like no one's ever like their
Yeah.
true self really. It kind of breaks down like all this shit and like how like you have like your shadow that comes up and like blocks certain things you want to do. The lyrics can just be really, really fucking badass too. And I like the guitar and they have a good bassist. There's a lot of reasons why I like Tool, but it took
I
me a
just
long
don't
time.
I just don't get it. Like,
I like
my
songs like Prison Sex and The Pot when I was younger, but then like they have way better songs. It just they're one of those bands like it'll click at some point if it ever does, and then you'll be like, oh, I get it, or you won't. But you just kind of have to have that.
one of my best friends, her name's April. I love her to death. She's a huge Tool fan, and like she tried to like get me into it. I'm like, I no, like I just like listening to them. Like I'm sure it's cool, but I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. And like I'm a huge Bob Dylan fan. Bob Dylan says some crazy shit. I love Bob Dylan. Here's the thing about Bob Dylan: his songs are like 3 minutes long. Every
Yeah,
Tool song is like fucking 10
they're a lot
minutes
longer.
long.
Prison
Yeah.
Sex isn't as long, but Prison Sex also has like the line "blood, shit, and cum on my hands."
Would hope not.
I love that song. I don't know, the
Yeah.
song "Writing To" you might like lyrically, like even if you just read the lyrics and didn't listen to the song, it's all about like basically like God's perspective, or I think it's like an angel's perspective of like how humans are and like God, like how all that kind of interplays. And they're not religious people. It's just like the way it's written from and stuff. It's really
I know they're not religious people. They have a song called Prison Sex.
well, well. I mean, there's a lot of things. Like
Praise the Lord.
there's like a Judith. It's like it's the singer's mom, and she died, and he has this whole like it's like I think it's 3 songs that all tie into each other, and they it all kind of just goes over like how she was like really like religious and shit, and like he just got angry about it at the end. He's like, how the fuck? Because like the way she died was pretty not fun, and he was like, how the fuck could you still believe in a god who would do this to you and shit? They, there's a lot of weird shit with them, like the album Lateralis. You know the Fibonacci sequence at all?
Yeah, I mean, I know what it is, but
Well, apparently, if you use the Fibonacci sequence in terms of like the track listing, it'll rearrange it, and they call it the well, the Fibonacci sequence or like the Holy Grail. So if you look up like Lateralis, the Holy Grail, it'll give you that album in the Fibonacci sequence, and then it makes the whole album sound like one song, as opposed to it being like broken up in like 10 different songs. No one knows
that's
if they did it
crazy
on
because all
purpose.
their songs sound like a whole album. It's fucking absurd.
Well, fine. I'm not gonna try any harder to make you like them.
Dude, man. My dad's hit me up right now. He's like, how do I find your podcast and what time? Like he's
We're not live.
fucking wanting to get into this shit.
I have to.
That's the thing. If he watches it, he's gonna enjoy it. My mom, after 2 minutes, is turning that shit off. She's like, nope, not fucking with this. So I will not be telling her.
Hopefully he likes it. I'll let you know when it's up. I have to post the one I did the other day first, and then I'll post this one. But I also have to get off in a minute. But before I do, I want to end on one other video.
Okay.
Last video I got for you.
Oh no.
I figured you'd like this one.
And he's trying to bench like
500 pounds.
yeah, that's exactly 500 pounds. Oh,
Did you hear us scream at the end? That's my
can
favorite part.
you blame him? I'm surprised he can make sound. That shit can write down on his fucking bullet phone. Oh my god.
It's so guttural.
Oh,
Yeah, he
dude.
got fucked up.
He literally got squeezed. That was just air coming out of him.
I'm guessing it probably shattered his sternum. Not the
By the way,
best
how is
spotter.
that guy going to get that off of him? You're going to need at least 2-3 people to get that off of him.
I just closed it out, so I can't double check. But I don't believe he had clamps on the ends. So I don't like because I mean I don't know if you could even see it, but I have in the corner I got like a squat rack and a bench set. And when I bench alone, I don't put clamps or anything on it. So if I have to dump the weight, I could just dump it.
Right.
Last thing I want to do is have people find me dead with fucking 300 pounds on my chest. It's so pathetic.
Like, damn, dude, he couldn't even get it up. Like, bro, he's dead.
That's why he's a fucking pussy, obviously.
All right, man. This has been super fun, bro.
Yeah,
I'm
next
glad-
time, anytime you want to do it, just let me know. I always like having you on as a guest. So
Fuck yeah. It's
And,
kind of it's cool, too, because I'm not even there anymore. But like, that's just how deep. I try to explain to people all the time, like, comedy is like legit, like, brotherhood, because we're all, for the most part, like, outcasts or just, like, don't really tend to fit in with, like, normal crowds. But when we're amongst each other, it's like we don't feel that way. So,
I
yeah.
don't feel all that in with the crowd around here most of the time. Like I'll talk to Dave and a couple other guys, but
Oh no, I'm the same way, but like I'm generally friendly to most comedians. Like if they're like, but so I was able to always feel like I belong there. There's a lot of comedians in the scene I don't fucking like.
yeah,
Like you already know who they are because you probably don't like them either.
it's just the open mic scene. You attract like
For the most part, like I like the comedians. There's a difference. There's comedians and there's people that do comedy. You know, it's two
that's a good
different
point.
people. Yeah. So like I'm friends with the comedians, you know, but and that's not me like looking down my nose at things. It's just the reality of the situation.
No, I totally get it. That makes a lot of sense. That's a good way to put it, I think, because there's a lot of people that just, like you said, they're just doing comedy.
Right. Like there's people who lift and there's people who go to the gym, you know, like it's not always the same thing. So
No, but all right. It was
yeah,
fun.
but yeah, man, I still got some homework to do. 28-year-old freshman. So
Yeah,
yeah,
well,
man,
that's fun.
I'll talk to you probably pretty soon.
Yeah, I'll message you after this about the equipment and stuff.
All right, bro. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank you. Have a
Later.
good one.